So your feet are those architectural wonders, and you have 3 arches in your feet.
3?
3.
Oh, really?
Yes. Chronic knee problems can go away. Chronic hip problems can go away. Chronic back problems, neck problems. I mean, we're talking, it has a global effect. The Panchmaya model says that we are multidimensional beings and that there's 5 layers. And that really, in order to address the whole human being, we need to address and create sequences and create support for all 5 of these layers.
Hello and welcome to the Harmonized Podcast, where we learn about the interconnectedness of the mind, body, and spirit. Today we're joined by Margo Sorum, who has done an incredible amount of research on the proper posture and alignment of our feet. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the importance of proper posture and body alignment and work our way up the entire chain of the body. We're also going to talk about yoga therapy and other forms of health and wellness. And if you get some value from this video today, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and share this video to help us reach a larger audience. But without further ado, Margo Sorum, welcome.
Hi, Jared. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. I'm so excited to dive into this because flat feet have been an incredible part of my journey. And we had a talk the other day. I went over and visited you. We did some work, some body work, and it was incredible. So I'm so excited for this podcast.
I'm so jazzed, and I'm so jazzed at just what the curious learner that you are. I think we're going to have a really fun conversation and just hopefully dive deep.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we just dive right in?
Sounds good.
Where did your journey begin? What got you into feet?
Oh, well, I mean, I think it was born of necessity. I ended up having a foot surgery when I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I had a Haglund's deformity, which is a bone spur on the back of the heel, often called a pump bump. And it was excruciating to wear shoes of any kind. So I really had to kind of figure out how to adapt. And then I came to yoga, and yoga was really wonderful for me. And it made me kind of go very minimal with my footwear and with my feet and kind of learning about natural alignment of the feet. But funny enough, I re-injured it not too long ago when I went on a trek in Turkey, and the Haglund's is back, my bone spur is back, and I do not want a surgery this time. So I've had to dive even deeper about this, and now I'm all about shoe diversity, and I've just learned so much more about the mechanics having been injured more recently.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Very awesome. So that original injury, you had this bone spur?
Yes.
Bone spur. So where was it?
Yeah, it was back on the back of my heel, and it is in that place where if you wear a shoe, it's going to rub against the back of the shoe.
Super annoying.
Really not good. And really, this is the interesting thing I've been learning is that it isn't so much the bone spur that's a problem. It's the fact that it's aggravating the bursa. So I can't really heal the bone spur. The bone is there, but I can start to be better to the bursa.
What is the bursa?
Yeah. Okay. Well, bursa is all over your body, and they're the little inward cushion pads that you have that are filled with synovial fluid. And they're often commonly, again, all over the body in places where bones meet, ligaments attach to bones, where tendons meet bones. I mean, they're in a lot of different places. So you have a lot of bursa in your feet. It's just this idea that ligaments and tendons and bones all kind of go together.
Gotcha.
So we're going to kind of have these cushions in those areas of those junction points.
Okay.
And a lot of places in the body.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So you made this discovery, and then what was your first new discovery on how to fix it? So
when I did have this re-injury, I decided I needed to go to the internet, and I scurried the internet, and I found a physio. So they call him, apparently in Wales, physio, and she's an expert on all things feet. And in fact, with some of the world football players, soccer players, she rehabs them. And she had amazing things to say. And she basically said, hey, look, your Haglund's probably isn't the biggest problem that you have. It is, in fact, the bursa. And when you have inflamed tissue, you have to offload it. And immediately when she said the word offload, I was like, I know what to do. And I went and grabbed a maxi pad. And I was wearing Ultras, which I do love. They're a 0-drop shoe. But because it's 0 drop, that means I'm going through my full range of motion through my heel every step that I take. And I needed to offload it. So I quickly added a maxi pad underneath my heel, and my pain was reduced by 50%.
Oh, wow.
So I realized, oh yeah, I'm kind of creating a spring. I'm creating this minimizing of movement to help cushion the blow each time, so it isn't just rubbing internally every time I take a step. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So offloading hurt tissue is extremely important. And in that kind of case, you don't want to be in a minimal shoe. So then I learned from the physio that I only have 3 degrees of dorsiflexion. And in order to have a normal walking gait, you need a minimum of 10 millimeters of dorsiflexion, or 10 degrees of dorsiflexion. So I only have 3. I need to create 10. So I have to be at least at a 6 millimeter heel to toe drop whenever I purchase a shoe.
Oh, wow.
And bursa is not easy to heal. So it takes months and months and months. So literally immediately out of getting out of bed, I need to put myself in a shoe that has a heel lift so that I don't start aggravating the bursa right away.
Very interesting.
I know.
Yeah, because from what I've been researching about foot health and whatnot, is the zero drop is the way to go. What do you think about that? Is that just because you have the bursa?
So this is the thing. Yes, because I have this inflamed bursa, but also because I have a limited range of motion in my ankle joint.
Okay.
So it's going to depend. And this is the thing. Everybody is different.
Totally.
Like with your range of motion in your foot. And your foot is so complicated. Your foot has 26 bones, 33 joints, 107 ligaments, 30 muscles that connect the foot and the lower leg.
That's so crazy.
It's so much going on in the architecture. So it all depends. And then we have to think about the orthotics. Right? So I'll dive just a little bit into what the orca tank is. It is Katie Bowman's analogy for orcas that are put into captivity. So you think about an orca put into a tank, it has to adapt to this new environment, right? And it only can swim so fast, so deep until it's forced to turn. And so that tissue is underutilized and it literally curves over. So normally it would be free range in the ocean where it could swim fast and deep and in any direction that it wants to. And so it's conditioned and the dorsal fin is upright. Well, unfortunately for our feet, we are orca tanking our feet all the time. And I wouldn't even say that shoes are the worst orca tank, except every single shoe you put on is an orca tank, right? But the flat surfaces that we're walking on and the fact that they're hard flat surfaces. So that's hard on bursa. Like even if you're in a minimal shoe.
Yeah.
So like no, if
tile,
you,
concrete.
Yes. So if you work, you know, are a barista or you're working at Costco or you're working on a flat surface or you're a nurse, like do you think you should be wearing a minimal shoe at work? Probably not. You're going to need a shoe that's quite cushioned.
Interesting.
And variety is super important. So you actually get some diversity happening in your foot. So if you're always wearing the same shoe, that's not enough stimulation for your feet to actually get the feedback that they need to be utilized at their best.
Wow. I didn't even think of that. And yeah, so often in today's world, we're walking around on flat surfaces. So if we've got flat shoes, we're never getting that variance.
Exactly.
I do have these slant boards that I use.
Yeah.
And I like to, when I'm brushing my teeth or getting ready in the morning, I have them there by the sink. So I'll stand on those. And I have some at work too. So every now and then I can go stand on these slant boards, and that helps with that dorsiflexion.
For sure. And I brought something here that I use for my PT, and that sounds kind of like what this is. This is a tipping slant board.
Oh, nice.
Right? So it can move around like this, and so then you can start to play with your inversion, eversion, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, pronation, supination, all these different things in different ranges of motion, and kind of condition your foot, right? In a greater range of motion than you can if your like foot is against the floor. Right?
Yeah, totally.
So it puts it on a free range disc, or it puts you in the ocean.
Nice.
So this is a really useful rehab tool.
Nice. Yeah. That reminds me of like a Bosu ball. Is that what they call it?
Yeah,
Bosu
exactly.
ball?
Like a balance and challenger.
Yes.
Yes. And of course I am doing this barefoot, right? Like, yeah, you're doing that barefoot if you can. So I would say that we want to condition the feet in all kinds of conditions on all kinds of walking surfaces. And there are, more organic surfaces than not. So walking in nature and walking in nature barefoot is, of course,
ideal.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Yeah.
But we have to adapt and do a lot of different things, and that's okay too.
For sure. We're diving crazy into feet right now, which we both love. But why is it so important to have proper posture and alignment in our feet?
So it is our foundation. I mean, everything starts at the feet. And architectural wonders are often created in arches. So you can go across a bridge with weighted cars and automobiles, and the bridges don't collapse. And same thing with cathedrals, have been around for 1,000 years or more, and they haven't collapsed because of the arches. So your feet are those architectural wonders, and you have 3 arches in your feet.
3?
3.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you have 2 longitudinal arches. One is the medial one, so the big toe side of the foot, the inner arch of the foot. One is the lateral longitudinal arch, which is the pinky toe side. And then you have across, meeting those 2, is the transverse arch. And this flat-footedness that kind of is a little bit of an epidemic right now.
Absolutely.
Isn't really a thing. Most people are not flat-footed from birth, congenitally.
Yeah.
There are people that are more flat-footed than others. The problem is our feet are under-conditioned. And so really and truly, we need to reclaim our natural foot architecture, and we need to reinstitute the arches of our feet.
Well, yeah, there's so many things I want to go into off of that, but the first one that comes to mind is, now we understand the importance of proper foot alignment and posture. How does that play a role in the rest of the body?
So because these arches are your foundation, if we're off by a couple of degrees, you are loading other structures, right? They're having to compensate now, and they're starting to have to engage in ways to kind of make up for the deficit of the arches. And so what we end up having is knee issues, hip issues, back issues, neck issues, right? And it's been interesting, but I have been a yoga teacher for 26 years. More than 17 of those years, I've been doing teaching yoga for the university in University of Anchorage, Alaska, and I design curriculum for their beginning, intermediate athletes yoga classes.
Oh, wow.
And I've run teacher trainings for the last decade. I'm also a massage therapist, and I see in the classroom and on the yoga table or on the massage table that if you can change the feet and put the feet online, you literally have a global rebirth.
Yes.
That chronic knee problems can go away. Chronic hip problems can go away. Chronic back problems, neck problems. I mean, we're talking, it has a global effect.
Absolutely.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and I felt that firsthand. That's kind of what started my journey. I play guitar, and whenever I'd be standing up with the sling around my neck playing for like an hour or two, I would get this crazy pain in my lower back. And I'm like, what is this? I should not be having back pain. I'm a young, healthy guy. Like, there's no reason I should be having back pain right now. So then that started my research, or my curiosity, I should say. And one of the nights I was in the shower, and I'm like, my balance stinks. Why is my balance so bad? I'm like, this has to be a developable skill. Like, I'm not just born with bad balance. So I got down in this like duck walk position, and I was wobbling. I had no stability. I'm like, what is going on? And then I shifted the weight from the insides of my feet to the outsides of my feet. And then all of a sudden I had stability, and I was like, whoa, I think I just discovered something. I stood up, and I noticed my knees were in line. I was like, that looks better than they normally look. So that started my whole like research journey, where I started looking into the proper way to stand on your feet, this and that destroyed my previous ideology of flat feet. Like you said, so many people think we're born with flat feet, and it's just like an issue you're born with, stuck with, that you got to deal with. Well, I discovered, hey, no, you can fix this with a shift in mindset and body awareness. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a long time, many steps, and working with it and learning these new ways that our body's connected with our feet, and learning how everything else is connected with each other, but it's fixable and you can improve it, which there's still so many people today that believe flat feet, you're just born with it and you got to deal with it.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that, just being able to kind of have this idea of, no, if you start to condition and play with the musculature and kind of figure out the movement of the joints and the bones, there's so much that can be regained. I mean, you can completely rehab your feet, for sure.
Oh, totally.
Yes. And I mean, been told by many body workers, and it is probably a big regret, is that I had this surgery when I was, in high school. Because the feet are so complex, it messes with everything.
Yes.
It can offset everything. And that I really believe it is our underlying, unaware, habituated movement patterns that are causing us most of our injuries.
Absolutely.
Right? That it really and truly is the underlying problem.
Oh, I totally agree.
And I do say that, like, in my bio about massage, I'm like, I really want to educate people on the movement patterns behind their pain, and how to re-educate and how to really learn how to move, become better movers.
Totally.
We just need to be better movers.
Yes. And like you're saying, I have a very similar thought, or I have very similar thoughts on that, which is like, we have these misalignments starting with the feet, and that's going to lead to misbalances. And then it works its way up the chain. Now your hips are uneven, your shoulders are uneven, your spine's out of whack, maybe scoliosis, whatever, your neck's crooked. And when your body's not in proper alignment, there's going to be a weak point that's not being used properly. And that weak point is going to give out first whenever you put it under stress or under continual load. And I think that's where most people's injuries come from.
I agree. I think I've read somewhere that 80% of injuries are self-induced. The other are sheer force injuries, like if you were skiing or doing your sports or in a car accident, but that 80% or more of the injuries that we have are really just us moving poorly and us ending up hurting ourselves. It's like you hear about the football player who got into the bathtub and broke his back, can't get out. I mean, or just these one incidents. It's not that one time. It's that he's been getting in and out of the bath or forward bending, flexing improperly for years, and the back's finally done with it.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like that kind of thing.
Yeah. So where does someone start? If they're having pain somewhere, like what should they do? Okay.
So I kind of wanted to do this anyways. Maybe we have like little movement snacks in here. That's another little Katie Bowman thing where she really relates movement to nutrition. So I wouldn't mind going into that a little bit.
Okay.
But this idea that you want to sprinkle your day with nutritious movement and kind of mix things up. So since we are sitting in a chair, I think we should kind of organize and be in the chair.
Okay.
And so I know everybody can't see all of us, but I just kind of replaced myself. So now I'm on my ischial tuberosities on my sit bones.
Okay.
So my feet are underneath my knees and I'm sitting on my sit bones. And I am just going to go behind my sit bones, round back, and then roll forward. And then we're going to put the hands on the outsides of the thighs. And you're going to kind of abduct. So that means push outwards into your hands. And do you feel the external rotators of the glutes turn on a little bit?
Yes.
As you go back and forth. It's kind of the rolling pin action. It's the deep 6 muscles that are working for you now. Yes. And then the next time we kind of roll up, just abduct out and kind of feel that stabilizing you. And you're getting an isometric workout right here. Yeah. And then we're just going to kind of relax in place, keep your hands there, and we're going to press outwards and hold that for 1, 2, let it go. I'm starting to take you through the lower cross syndrome sequence, which is a sequence that I learned from Dr. LeBoy. He's an osteopath here in town. And it really is actually magical for helping pelvic floor issues, for helping regain the arches of your feet. Notice that as you press outwards against your thighs, do you see the medial arch of your foot starts to engage?
Yes.
Right? And so already you feel the foot shorten a little bit, the foot domes heighten a little bit. Okay. Then we come to the inside of the thighs, but keep the knees that distance apart. And you're going to slowly adduct just a little bit. Don't overwhelm it so that the bones move, but you'll feel that you have engaged the fascial chain, the adductor chain, okay? And release. And we're going to do that a couple times. So ideally, we start, again, the sequencing of this is important. You do 10 adductions. We're going to end up doing 10 adductions. It's pretty cool. And then we're going to kind of pause here for a moment. This is a weird cue, but you're going to slowly start to squeeze the glutes around the sit bones, the ischial tuberosities, so kind of engage your glutes, and it's going to lengthen your tailbone a little bit. and you're going to squeeze a walnut with your anal sphincter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then let it go. And so you're kind of hugging the sit bones. You're hugging the anal sphincter only about with 20% effort and then relaxing it. And we're doing that. And you almost feel that when you do that, do you feel that you get a little bit taller? Just a little bit, like it just kind of
I can
raises
feel it
you
through
slightly.
my spine.
Yeah, you can actually feel this through your spine. Good. You're doing it right. Through your whole chain, through your whole body. Another way to think about this is press into your feet a little bit, squeeze your sit bones, hug the anal sphincter, release. And again, this is pretty subtle. Okay? And then last movement, stay as you are, but draw the abdomen in towards your spine, activating transverse abdominals, and let it go. So you're staying very organized in your architecture, but you're just drawing, again, the belly and navel center in. You're zipping up from the pubic symphysis to the xiphoid process and relaxing and zippering. And this is kind of helping your whole inner corset, and it's called biotensegrity. So you're helping literally your inner architecture.
Wow.
And it's aligning your bones, muscles then wrap to the bones, and then everything just has this ability to interact and move with better alignment.
I noticed you started with the core. Why is that?
Well, really foundationally, yes, your feet, when we're standing, is definitely where everything's organizing. But truly the foundation also of your body is the spine. Everything is about your spinal health and your back health. Right? You could live without an arm. You could live without a leg. So you could live without your foot.
Yeah.
But you cannot live without your spine.
For
So
sure.
truly, when we do yoga, I always am saying, how does it feel on your back? How does it feel on your back? Keep kind of organizing so it is feeling good for your back.
Gotcha.
So, and what's the base of the spine is your pelvic floor. The pelvic floor, all of the pelvic floor muscles attached to your ischial tuberosities, to your sit bones. They hammock across there. So we want to make a strong pelvic hammock that kind of supports and lifts everything. In order to help the pelvic hammock, you need the support of the feet. So, and really when we're talking about the feet, we need to institute torque. And we talked about torque a little bit.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
You showed me a movement and it was a game changer.
Yeah, talk about that.
Game changer. Okay, so yeah. Well, how about the way we met? So
Yes.
I was going to yoga and I met Jane and I was going to her class and I was wearing toe spacers. And she's like, "Oh, I like your toe spacers. What are you wearing those for?" I was like, "Well, I've been working on my feet, working on my alignment, and I had flat feet and that bunched my toes together. I'm trying to spread them back and regain that control." And she's like, "You need to talk to Margo." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Who's Margo?" She's like, "She's awesome. Just trust me. Here's her." She gave me her card. So I reached out and you were traveling to Greece at the time. So you sent me some videos and one of your YouTube videos, we'll link it down below. It was insane. I started implementing this movement where you showed me and I felt the connection from my big toe into my inner hip, which my inner hips were sagging due to my flat feet.
Pronated flat feet.
Pronated flat feet. So my inner arches were collapsed. So my inner hips were collapsed.
Yes.
So that movement really helped lift my inner hips. And I felt it from there through my entire spine up into my neck. And it was like insane for my alignment. I've been working on my alignment for over a year now, almost 2 years. And I've had several breakthroughs. The first breakthrough was discovering the psoas.
Oh gosh, yeah, we could go there. Yeah.
Yeah. Once I learned about the psoas, I didn't even know it existed. And now I think it's one of the most important muscles in the body because it is the only muscle that connects our upper body to our lower body. So once I learned about that muscle and started learning how to feel it, because it's not one that you can touch very easily. Like it's deep inside your pelvic area. And
Well, yeah, it attaches along the sides of your spine.
Right.
So it's in deep. The attachments are along the spine.
along the spine, into your diaphragm, down into your legs.
Yes, into the lesser trochanter at the inner thighs.
So yeah, learning how to use that changed the game for me.
You'll have immediate access to your psoas, to your pelvic floor, if you use the torque of your feet. So
Yes.
it is kind of like this idea of, so we probably better talk about what torque is.
Yes.
So torque is that force that allows you to rotate and
Twisting.
to open a jar. Twisting, yes. So you're able to twist open a jar. You have to have torque in order to do that. So with our feet, and this is why foot alignment is so important, we need to generate torque, which means that the muscles wrap to the bones instead of us just becoming lax and hanging out in our soft tissues and our ligaments and causing injury in this way of being too laxed in your body and not engaging with the architecture. So foot scooping is probably what we were doing together on this video.
So. If you could demonstrate it real quick, I can confirm that. Yep, foot scooping.
Yeah.
I know you guys can't see that, but we'll have the video. Maybe I'll edit in a shot of her foot doing that so you can get a better visual. But yes, foot scooping. Yep,
the foot scoops are really important. And part of that is once we've established that, we are thinking of an abduction and kind of widening out. And it is going to load the lateral leg chain and make your legs pillars of support. Again, knees will be a little bit wide, no collapsed knees, and dropping the knees inwards pronates the feet.
Yes.
So we have to kind of drive the knees outwards. Same thing for squatting. Squatting is a 2-joint movement, and really the first move is hips go back, and then the second move is knees drive wide. Okay, 2 joints. And it's so important because the first joint to move is the joint that's going to be loaded. So a lot of times when people start squatting, they start bending their knees first. Your knees are not meant to do the weight bearing in a squat. Not at all. Your whole body is meant to, right? It's supposed to share the load. So we back up the hips up first. Hips are that largest joint connecting to the spine, connecting the whole chain, and then we can power from there.
Yes, and you get that outwards movement because you see improper squat form where people's knees start buckling inwards.
Yeah, pronating the feet, collapsing the arches of the feet. So driving the knees wide, I mean, just letting your, like right here, let's just kind of sit with the knees wide. That's super important. But most people are sitting with, especially women have been told, sit with your legs closed. Bring your thighs together, cross the legs. Crossing the legs is terrible. It's causing varicose veins. It's causing crimping in the blood flow and blood supply. It's not good for your heart.
Doesn't look good for your hips either.
Yeah, excuse the hips. The psoas doesn't like it, right? The psoas, like whenever we are misaligned, one psoas goes on tension, the other one goes on slack. And already now you're kind of creating this, misalignment through your spine. And creep happens if you stay in that position, and then your body reorganizes around that alignment.
Wow.
Yeah. Creep is real.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
That's what was starting my back pain. Because my one side was sagging more than the other. I had a misbalance, and it just started hurting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started working on that proper alignment, and the pain went away. Now I can stand and play for hours, no back pain. So
that's phenomenal.
It is. It makes me want to help more people because I know so many people that are having these pains and issues, and I know it's coming from this body alignment. Like I've got a coworker, his foot is sticking outwards way more than the other, and he's got sciatica. I'm like, bro, look at your foot.
Duck-footedness. Yeah, your duck-footedness is causing your sciatic pain. No doubt.
I know, and I've been trying to tell him that. He's starting to believe me, but we need to get him on a plan or something to get him working on it. I'm gonna make him watch this video. So
I love it. Yeah.
Miguel, we're talking to you.
Hi, Miguel.
No. So yes, back to the foot scoop.
Yes.
My first breakthrough was the discovery of the psoas. The second breakthrough was the foot scoop and using that to manipulate the psoas and control it. And I felt it instantly. Once I did that first foot scoop, I felt the control of the psoas, because before I knew what it was, but I didn't have that really good control. But with that torque, I could control it, and I could feel lifting those inner hips and lowering those outer hips to where they're balanced.
Yes.
Oh my God. But I went a little too far with it, let me tell you.
That tends to happen. We get a little overzealous. And that's the same thing too. Like if you have been walking duck-footed and you're externally rotated, simply starting to turn your feet in by 1 degree at a time is putting you on a whole different trajectory. But I've done the same thing where I tend to be duck-footed. I mean, the reason why I came to all this is because I had poor posture. Oh, that's actually a good story. So I had done 2 teacher trainings already and was playing in the symphony in Anchorage, Alaska, and we had grants to go up to the Fairbanks Summer Arts Festival, which actually is pretty world-renowned. It's fantastic. And there was a yoga teacher teaching there. And at the time, I had been like, hey, how am I going to be taking my yoga practice on the mat out into the world. In other words, like I was starting to feel a little more organized on my yoga mat and thinking, okay, my hands go here, my feet go here. This is the orientation. But what happens when we go free range? What happens when we're off the yoga mat?
Mm-hmm.
So just having those internal questions of like, well, how do I stand in balance? How do I sit in balance? How do I walk in balance? How do I sleep in balance? Like how am I become a better mover in all the daily ways?
Yes.
So I don't know, when you start asking questions, the teacher arises or the person comes into your life that knows maybe just a little bit more information than you. And that person ended up being Jean Couch. And Jean Couch was an Iyengar, is an Iyengar teacher, was an Iyengar teacher. I only just say that because now she's a balance teacher. But I actually called her and I said, hey, Jean, my name is Margo and I'm a new yoga teacher. Would you like me to help assist your yoga classes up at the Fairbanks Summer Arts Festival? And she thought that was adorable. She's like, Margo, I'm teaching something so different. I just need you to come and observe, take it in, and we'll talk.
Whoa.
So I show up for the first class. You come in barefoot most of the time to a yoga class. So I walk in and she looks at me and she goes, you have the flattest feet I have ever seen. And I was like, I have very high arches. And she's like, that might be, but you're not using them.
Oh, wow.
I know. So that kind of put me down the rabbit hole. So I did study with her for several years and think her content is brilliant. But this idea that, there are some cues for natural alignment. And what was being observed actually came from Iyengar. And Iyengar is one of the premier yogis that has trained a lot of the premier yoga teachers in our modern day time. And he was noticing that a lot of the Westerners coming to study with him, he was very frustrated with. He's like, there's no way to teach a person yoga when they don't even stand on a plumb line, when they're not even on the axis. And yet, really, there's an epidemic with our first world country posture. And it actually started to happen in the 1920s when the corsets came off, fashion changed, and the flappers came into style.
Flappers?
Yes. So the hips went forward and the pelvis tucked.
What are flappers?
Couture. So flapper culture ended up being couture culture, where the hips went forward, the pelvis tucked, and it was called broken doll. And it was this idea that it looked more relaxed. It looked more cool. And I can do it right here. And that became like the birth of ultimately lounging furniture. And lounging furniture tucks the pelvis. So no longer are you on the sit bones, but you're sitting on your sacrum or on your lumbar spine. You're starting to create degenerative disc disease. It is an epidemic in our culture. So, and then of course, when you sit like that, your body actually adapts like that. So then when you stand up, you think that you're standing upright, but in fact, you've shortened your psoas and you're not standing up straight anymore.
Totally.
Right? So this is what Iyengar was seeing. And he turned to one of his devotees. Her name was Noelle Perez. And she's the only woman photographed in his Lie on Yoga book. She's wearing a polka dot bikini. And he turned to Noelle and he said, Noelle, I need you to figure this out. Why isn't anyone standing on the axis? And that became Noelle's career. And that is who Jean Couch ended up studying with.
Wow.
And I have a couple of books that I'm going to recommend to everybody. And really, Noelle Perez's work is the basis of this natural posture research, really. And she ended up being kind of an anthropologist, right? Like starting to look and observe people in third world countries who are still moving into old age with no back pain, no hip pain, no surgeries, carrying heavy loads on their heads. There's a beautiful picture in one of the books of a 102-year-old pair of feet. And she has her great-grandchild right next to her, and her feet and her grandchild's feet look just the same functionally. It's phenomenal. And she's a primary caregiver at 102 years old.
Wow.
So the way that we move is the way that we age. And I truly believe that it is how you move that's going to influence how well you age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that is so profound, because how are people living nowadays? They're going downhill. You're 60, 70, you're struggling to move. You got a cane, a walker. I think it's so possible to be 80, even 100, and still moving with the proper posture, body alignments, movements, and it comes down to that movement, because another part of that is the sedentary lifestyle that's also knocking us down.
Right. Okay. Well, just saying that, let's do a little movement snack too. And we're going to just work with our feet, and I'm just starting to pump them. So I will just do the action with my hands here on the screen. And that's what I'm doing with my foot. I'm taking it through plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, and I'm starting to kind of make it rhythmic. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And you're starting to kind of utilize the cables and the pulley systems in the inner compartments of the leg muscles. Do you feel a burn starting to happen?
I feel it.
Okay, we feel it. That's good. So we're just kind of doing this up and down, up and down. You can think of the feet as your rudders. I mean, really like the steering of the whole boat. So right now you are kind of really digging in, and you can get a little push-pull. You can start to do the inner isometrics of thinking of pressing the bone and muscle and ligaments and tendons against each other. You can really up-level this with your awareness. So the thing about yoga and awareness is you can still use your own body weight, but you're going to be able to up-level over time because you are just more proficient at making everything activate and work.
In tune.
In tune, yes. And then just relax and then close your eyes, and you feel all the tingling that's happening. It's kind of like a cellular dance party. It's like all of that movement is moving the blood flow around. And in fact, when we're in sitting position, like if you go on an airplane, lymph starts to pool up, right, in the feet. And this is not great for our heart. So really, when, in fact, your gastroc muscles, the calf muscles, are your second heart.
I was about to say that.
Yeah. So tight calves are really detrimental to your health. And just keeping those calf muscles relaxed and released is very important. And most people have extremely tight calf muscles because they're weight bearing in the foot incorrectly. The weight is going forward to the ball of the foot. And if you've ever looked at the architecture of the foot, the heel bone, one of the talus bones, you have 7 of them. The calcaneus bone, the heel bone, is the furthest back, and it's the largest, densest bone in your body. It is meant for weight bearing, right? And then as you move forward in the foot, you end up having the metatarsals and then the phalanges, and these are more bird-like structures that are meant for dexterity and movement of the isolating toes and the middle of the foot. So, but most people are weight bearing on the forefoot and crushing those delicate bones. And then bunions are forming, hammer toes are forming, different tendinitis injuries, maybe Morton's neuroma, people getting neuropathy in their feet. And that neuropathy is literally pinching off the nerves. So like, you have your sciatic nerve, we know about that. But there's lots of nerves that run throughout your whole body. And just even the way you're weight bearing can start to pinch nerves, right? And then you lose feeling to your foot. And then you're prone to falling. And then that creates more of an aging process, right? If we don't have our balance anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And I think I actually have the opposite problem where I'm putting too much weight on my heels.
And not starting to use, so yes, so weight in the heels, but then are you starting to use your monkey feet? Meaning
I've been trying.
Yeah, trying. So we need to use the MP joints.
What are those?
Yeah. They're the interphalangeal joints.
Okay.
And we need to use the MP joint, the metatarsal.
Is that like at the knuckle?
Yeah. So really, literally, your IP joint is this, and your big toe has just 2, one, and then one of each. The others have more. So, but this little toe joint right here is the IP joint.
Okay.
And then this one right here is the MP joint.
Got it.
And both need to be functioning. And so what tends to happen, like with hammer toes, is this IP joint just gets locked out. And the tendons and the ligaments just get super tight. And there's no mobility or springiness anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't move my toes before.
Right. I mean,
At
just
all.
have to start. Right. And think about that. There's so many little joints. I mean, there's so many there's 33 joints in your foot. And all of them need to be able to be mobilized.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, I got a lot of work to do.
Oh, don't we all? And that's why it is so humbling. It's like,
oh, totally.
You constantly learn a little bit more, and it's like, oh, oh, that changes everything. Oh, that changes everything.
Yes.
So it is just this growing awareness.
Yeah. It's been a 2-year journey, and I know I got a long ways to go.
And I do also. And this is the other thing, like once you kind of know a little bit more about the map of natural posture, it's the awareness building of it, where it's like, okay, well, every day you kind of have to do body scanning and be like, oh, wait, how am I organized right now? And then, my weight is more on one leg than the other. Okay, let me see how I can level off and come more into the middle.
Body scanning. I think that's so huge and so important, because I did not care about that before. And now that I started this alignment journey, yes, you can close your eyes. You can even do them with your eyes open and think internally and feel your alignment. Can you talk more about body scanning?
Yes. I mean, for me, it's through yoga, right? For me, my body scanning is kind of happening through my yoga awareness. I think you're a martial artist.
Yes.
So your awareness building is going to kind of organize around that martial arts training. It's sort of like we all need a base of awareness building practice in order to like come back to it and be like, oh, this is what I'm coming back to, right? I'm coming back to. But in terms of kind of the natural posture template to some extent, and I'm not saying it's hard and fast rules, it's kind of more like, again, a guiding map. But in general, you want your feet to face forward. And one of my relatives is a orthopedic surgeon, and I was telling him about my foot issues, and he's kind of like, yeah, not only are feet forward, but really when you see major athletes, and he specifically works for one of the Canadian football teams, he's like, you'll notice that the players that get the most torque and get off running the fastest as possible, they're actually using their big toe and second toe. So it's more second toe forward. Because when you think about it, just organize and look down. When you put your big toes forward, you can still see a little external rotation. Your inner arches are parallel with each other. But if you go in and the second toe is forward, that's when you're starting to get the foot scoop. Oh. That's when you're getting your monkey feet. This is where you can create torque. And that's how movers do this. But it's funny because even just last weekend, I was taking a hike with my daughter, and my foot was bothering me. And I was like, Abby, can you please watch me move? And she's like, Mom, I don't know what you're doing, but your right foot is completely in turn out. She's like, you're completely walking duck-footed with your right foot. And I couldn't feel that. Like sometimes you can't even feel what your habit is. I know this. I've done it for 20 years. But still, the default is when you get fatigued or tired, you kind of go back to the default.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of like you do kind of need to constantly, I don't know, do these body scans. Have someone check your alignment for you, right? That we do need body workers in our life. We do need yoga therapists in our life. We do need your osteopathic doctor in your life, your chiropractor, whoever it is, that is kind of reminding you, hey, pay attention.
How about filming yourself?
Yes.
Filming yourself doing an exercise, a movement, and then seeing what you're actually doing.
100%. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, the body scan. It's been something that has really changed the game, and learning how to feel that. It started with my spine. Like I started wiggling it, and I would move different sections of it, and I could wiggle it down low and then start working my way up and wiggling it back and forth until I feel like it's in line. And I can't see it obviously, but it feels like I can wiggle it into a more proper alignment. And then with that, the foot scoop gave me that control of the hips underneath the spine. So now I start with that, and then I feel my psoas, and I can feel the inside of my psoas and the outside of my psoas, and I try to level them out. And then when I level them out, then I try to feel my spine in line. And I like to do this before every single exercise since I learned the foot scoop. But when I'm lifting weights,
yes,
I do the foot scoop, try to align my hips, and then align my spine before every rep. I mean, not every set.
Cool.
And then once I have that alignment, then I utilize the core brace. I don't know if you've...
Core bracing is huge.
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 Amazing. I would love to talk about that. But then I use the core brace to hold myself in position throughout the range of motions. That way I don't lose it each rep. But yeah, the core brace was also a game changer. That changed everything for lifting weights.
Yeah. So my understanding of the core bracing is kind of a couple fold. And of course, it's not just one thing, right? Like there's so many ways.
Yep.
And
Levels.
There's so many levels. And so there's not one way for sure. But the first way that I learned how is like the bearing down.
Yep.
Right? Like you are taking bowel movement. It's like bear down. And all of a sudden you can just feel your intertube come online and around. Right? And then you can kind of, this is the hard part too. Can you relax it? And then can we organize your breathing around that? So it always comes back to the breath. I mean, so we're talking about, it all goes down to the feet. It all comes down to the toes. It all comes down to the breath. I mean, it is all of these things. And that's why it's like, when you do the body scan, I'm not always just coming back to the feet. Like sometimes it's, I need to come back to the breath. Sometimes it's, I need to come back to the pelvic floor. Sometimes it's, I need to come back to my baby head position.
Yes.
Sometimes it's, I need to come back to my lower scapula. Sometimes it is, I need to think about my IP joints. Sometimes it is, okay, let me think about my calcaneus bone. I mean, there is this idea that, yes, we're just, again, coming back and again, reorganizing. It's about reorganizing. And in yoga, we call it Atta Yoga Anushasanam. It's the very first yoga sutra. And it means now. Presence. Like in the present moment. There's the opportunity to begin again. There's the opportunity for yoga. And to me, that's the body scan. It is giving yourself grace and beginning again.
I love that.
Yeah.
Being in the present moment and connecting with your body.
Yes.
Beautiful. Yeah, like you said, there's so many different areas that you can tap into with that body scan, and it all comes down to your focus and your intention and that presence and being able to pick which area needs that attention. And like you said, the breath has also been a huge game changer with my alignment, is the diaphragm. And being able to feel that diaphragm, and I can feel it when my hips are off. I can feel my diaphragm's not dropping down evenly.
Yeah.
So then I got to lift a hip and try to balance them out to where my diaphragm is expanding evenly.
Yeah.
But that's hard to do because there's so many elements that play a role into that alignment and posture.
Yes.
But yeah, the body is so complex.
It's so
complex.
It's humbling and it's magical, and it is worth just taking a dive with for sure. And
Absolutely.
I do think just having some sort of movement practice that you love and enjoy. You know, my mom just went with us to Greece, that trip that I was just on. She just had turned 80. It was like her 80th birthday present to herself and to us. And we got to travel with her. And she was the oldest person there. And everybody was like, there's no way you're 80, because she wasn't moving like she's 80.
Wow.
And for her, it's like she is consistent at walking. She walks every day. And she also walks with purpose and with awareness. And since I started doing yoga when I was early 20s, she's been doing yoga. So she's been doing yoga for 30 years.
Wow.
And so that's made a huge difference for her. And it's kind of inspiring that we just know she's moving well and preserving her health in that way. That's
so amazing. The last guest I had on the podcast, his name was Jude Smith. We talked about blue zones. Have you heard of blue zones?
Yes.
Yeah, so I had never heard of him, but I was so fascinated. He's talking about how it's these people that are living to be 80s and 100, and they're still mobile, active, and having this longevity.
Yes.
And their quality of life is what's better. And that's what is so huge, because some people say, we're all going to die someday. It's like, yeah, we're going to die, but how do you want to live?
Right.
And I want to be old, being able to enjoy my grandkids, carrying them, playing with them, moving around, doing activities with them. I don't want them to be like dragging me around in a wheelchair.
To you, that's not quality of life.
Exactly.
I agree. It's funny. I had some resistance at first teaching athletes yoga at the university, because I'm like, well, I don't really consider myself an athlete. And then I was like, wait a second, hold on. We are all athletes, and really the finish line is moving gracefully into old age. My athletic goal is getting to my finish line fully capable of walking and moving and having full function of my body. That is the true race that we are all in. And yes, I think we all need to become athletes of our body. And that can look at different ways for different people. And so for me, in the athletes yoga class, I actually focus a lot on self-care. And the fact that athletes tend to abuse their bodies.
Oh, 1,000%.
And so what are we going to do to counteract some of that abuse?
Yes.
And what does that mean? So do you want to take another little movement break?
Let's do it.
Okay. So scooch forward on your seat a little bit so you're really more, your ischial tuberosities are near the edge of the seat. And then your hands come onto your thighs. And then one hand slides down your thigh and then the other. And think of one femur bone lengthening and then the other femur bone. So you're going to create like a cross-country skiing, like a walking action.
Hips moving forward and back?
Mm-hmm. The hips move forward and back. Do you kind of feel that? It's like a little bit of a rotation and a twist. And it's going to loosen up the QL and the psoas. And again, knees are tracking a little bit wide. So you have diamond legs. The feet are forward. And this mimics walking, right here in your chair. And you can feel that with the sit bones, you can feel them go anterior and posterior, right? And so this is one thing I do a lot for my older clients, is like before they stand up, they need to take a walk in their chair. They need to prepare their bodies
warming up.
For the standing up. And most of us just want to go from, being sedentary and sitting for an hour to like hopping up and doing something. Your tissues are not ready or prepared or organized to do that. And so a lot of people, I think, injure themselves in the transitions because they're transitioning too quickly. They're not being mindful and warming up the tissues that have become sedentary.
Yeah, and this is something you can do at your desk while working, right?
Oh, for sure. For all of these things,
just to break it up.
Just a little, go skiing in your seat just a little bit.
Yeah, because sometimes we'll get stuck there with the slouch, like you said.
Yep, we end up sitting back.
Or the shrimp posture.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's not bad to utilize, like, it might be nice now I'm going to sit back in my chair and cross my legs a little bit and sit that way. So, change it up.
Working on my posture and alignment, one of the places I struggle with the most is my left hip.
Okay.
And I think it's because of my foot imbalance. Okay, before we get into that, I want to get your opinion on orthotics.
Ooh, okay. I have a lot of thoughts about orthotics. And again, I am not a doctor, but I am a yoga therapist. Yes, I'm not. Yeah. So I'm not a doctor, but I am a yoga therapist. I'm a massage therapist. I've seen a lot of people move. So this is my opinion about this. I like them sometimes.
Okay.
Okay. But it's like when you put on a pair of glasses, the lenses are not fixing your eyes. They are a prop. They are helping to align you. So maybe using an insert, like I offloading my heel by using a maxi pad and then getting myself to Fred Meyer and then actually getting some Dr. Scholl's heel lifts made a huge difference for me. And then, of course, I tried to wean myself off of them because this is the problem. That heel insert is not strengthening my foot.
Correct.
Right? So, yes, if you wear an orthotic, great. It is going to probably help you align, but then you need to strengthen your personal architecture to then strengthen what needs to strengthen to be maintained without the orthotic. So it's like, it's a prop. Use it if you need it, but it's not going to fix or change your foot until you actually start working and conditioning the musculature.
Absolutely. And yes, I totally agree that it can be useful, especially if you're experiencing excruciating pain. But ultimately, like you said, you have to develop your own muscles and structure to be able to support yourself.
Yes.
And if you're relying on those, it's going to become a crutch.
Yes. If you're relying on them all the time or you think that the problem is resolved, you are mistaken. The problem is not resolved. You are supporting yourself. And I'm a very big fan of support equals release. So in yoga, I'm a huge fan of moving slowly enough in your yoga practice that you are actually getting optimal alignment to happen in every movement, which unfortunately isn't happening in a flow class. And I'm not saying I don't like a good flow class occasionally. I do. Like sometimes it's great to just move and enjoy your movement. But there also needs to be the time to slow it down and then really work on your alignment. And almost always, think about it, it is your habituated patterns, the way you always do yoga, is not the way you're going to get better at yoga. It's in starting to insert props, finding axial extension, finding length through the arms, finding and offloading some of the tissues that are being abused during that. So really, I use so many props when I do yoga because I can do yoga fine just with no props, but then I'm just release valving into all of my tendencies and nothing's getting better or resolving. So using the props actually up levels your practice and allows you to heal faster, quicker, more efficiently than just repetitively doing your yoga practice and assuming it's going to get better just by doing it, because it won't, because you're picking your same angles. And really, we need to talk about this is the loads. You have to change and vary the loads. So at some point, we just change the load of how we're sitting. And really, changing your body is your best piece of furniture. So floor sitting, and then changing the floor sitting position often is going to give your toes, your ankles, your knees, your hips, your spine the most variety in the loads. And then we use the props to optimize it to find the sweet spot with that, so you can really find yourself in that tension-free place. And then you can start to come off the props again and really make the deeper changes. So I don't personally think people are going to get what they think they're going to get out of yoga until they really start embracing the props and searching for variety in their movement, like going into the ocean, because otherwise you're just stuck in your own orca tank all the time.
Yeah. Your habits. And I promise you, you do not want your normal. You want to up level. We're all trying to have, just up level our experience of ourselves. For sure. And I have experienced that myself with yoga. Don't get me wrong, I like a good Vinyasa class.
Sure.
But I prefer the other ones, because the Vinyasa, it's too fast paced. I can't get settled into these poses and start to feel things because it's moving so quickly. And it's also the same thing every single time. So you can easily fall into those habits. I do prefer the slower classes like a Vinyasa, or like Jane and Izzy's class. They like to switch things up, and it's never the same thing. You always got something new, different props, different movements. We're exploring new techniques. And I love that, because I'll tap into a new thing that I never felt before, and it's like, whoa, I just gained a new control of my body that I didn't have before. Whereas previously you're doing the same thing, you're getting used to it, and you may fall into these bad habits.
Totally. I agree with that. And it's kind of been fun lately. So I'm kind of new to Las Cruces. Well, let me back up. I actually grew up in Las Cruces and graduated from Cruces High, so I'm a bulldog. But then I went away for college, and then I moved to Alaska and lived in Alaska for 23 years. And 2 years ago, my daughter started college, and at that time, my husband and I moved back down to Las Cruces, and we now live across the street from my folks, which is really sweet.
Beautiful.
Yes. And I kind of, started to insert myself a little bit in the yoga community, and I kind of like to do a class where we oftentimes start with a PowerPoint presentation. Whoa. So then you learn a piece of anatomy, and then we do an awareness practice during the yoga class with that awareness. And every time it's sort of like, then you can take that new body awareness into your flow class, into your Vinyasa class. So I feel like it's a really good complement in town now, like it will help merge and just help people's practices evolve, because they are starting to learn about their psoas. It's kind of like a meet your glutes day, a meet your gastroc day, a meet your natural posture day, meet your foot scoops day, meet your tarsal sinuses day, meet your popliteal day, like all these different things. So we're able to kind of, I think we're visual learners. So we really take an in-depth look at the anatomy, and then we start to flush that out in all of the poses throughout that sequence that day. But again, I think it starts to come together, and then you feel, because if you've been going to Vinyasa and you have that sequence you have been doing, that's a great awareness builder, because now you took a class where we mix things up, then you take it back to Vinyasa, and it's like whole other neural passageways are opened up. So beautiful. I do want you to start coming to my classes.
You just sparked my interest
I know.
Hugely.
You're going to be so into it. It is for the movement geeks, I have to say.
I love it. And like you said, that PowerPoint presentation, showing the visual, because that's what unlocked my psoas. I saw a picture of it.
Yes.
And then I could see, it's connected to your spine here, and then it connects to your hips and legs here. So then I could use that self-awareness to tap into my inner body and feel it through there. So I think that's incredible to show that before the class, and then you can focus on it deeper and really feel it and unlock these new muscles.
Yes. A picture is worth 1,000 words. I feel like we are a visual culture. And not only that, but we are imitators of each other. So babies are actually the masters of natural posture. Up until the age of 3, they are self-guided, and they are going to figure out their natural posture and their balance. And in fact, they're challenged because their noggin proportionally is so much bigger than the rest of them. So they're very tippy. and they're finding a way to like balance their noggin on top of their head, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. But after the age of 3, they literally start to imitate the adults around them and start picking up their movement patterns. And you can see it. Families walk the same way.
Wow.
They have a family walk.
That's so true.
You can hear like a family talk.
We have the same feet.
We do. We have the same feet as one another. I mean, I feel it on the table, like family members. It's like, oh, this makes sense. It's very fascinating. But a lot of that is learned through imitation starting at age 3.
Wow.
Very interesting. One of my yoga teachers, Gary Kraftsau, his son, Mateo, well, first of all, let me back up. Gary is my yoga therapy teacher, and he's really informational about the spine, but he has a kyphosis. So he has a little bit of rounding in his upper back. It's congenital. So we have different curves of our spine. You have your lumbar lordosis, and people can have excessive lordosis, which is extra sway in the low back. And then we have kyphosis, and you do have a natural kyphosis, but some people have an exaggerated kyphosis. And this is Gary to some extent. It is a natural congenital kyphosis in his upper back. Well, he has images of that from the chiropractor, and he had Mateo have photographs taken. And the truth is he does not have a kyphosis, but because he imitates Gary, he slouches and rounds and creates more of a kyphosis in his upper back just through the imitation.
Wow.
So we literally teach our children natural posture. And I pride myself on kind of passing that on to my daughter. Like, she observes and is observer, and it's like, I think she has such excellent posture compared to other youth of today, just simply because, one, she's been a dancer and they to some degree help reinforce that, but then 2, to have the natural posture come back to and reorganize and even have a little bit of a counter practice to all the dancing. We have to talk about repetitive sports.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going back to Katie Bowman. She's my biomechanics girl. I love her. And she has like 11 books. Go read all of them. They're fantastic. But she talks about movement as a big circle. So you have movement in its big circle. And within the big circle of movement, which is just all potential movement, is a smaller circle that is exercise.
Okay.
And then within exercise, there's all the small ones like biking, swimming, jiu-jitsu, yoga, whatever it is, right? All these things are kind of these forms of exercise. And the hard thing is especially like running, swimming, biking, these are all sports that begin in one place and end in another, and it tends to be on the sagittal plane. And so this becomes the birthplace of repetitive injury.
Yes.
Repetitive injuries that tend to happen instead of just being in the world of movement and just being a good mover all day long, which is, again, starting to follow the biomechanics of the body and aligning and being on the plumb line so you're not straining tissues by being misaligned by a degree or 2.
Wow.
Does that kind of make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So,
like you're doing these same movements over and over, and you're falling into like a habit, and you're developing this bad habit?
Potentially a bad habit, and then an overuse of the tissues, which
especially if you have a misalignment.
Especially if you have a misalignment. So, there was an article many years ago, and it said that sitting is the new smoking. And I don't entirely disagree with that, but I would revise it. I know, switch it up here. But I would revise that and say being in any one position for too long with crap posture is the new smoking.
Yes.
Right? Because then we switch to standing. Well, if you're standing on the ball of your foot or too much on the heel of the foot, or not utilizing all of those 30 muscles in your feet and offloading the 107 ligaments in your feet, like, you're causing some damage, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so changing it up and having choices and shifting and moving, and like you said, just not fidgeting, but just realigning often with awareness is more important than going to the gym and doing your sequence every day or going and doing Vinyasa every time. It's like people in third world countries just are good movers all day long and tend to have to do some carrying, hanging, squatting, lifting, moving in all these ways. I mean, they'd laugh at us going to the gym.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, in our modern day society, We have the lazy gene.
The sedentary lifestyle.
Yes. And it's not our fault. It's actually hardwired into us to be lazy because at one point we needed to conserve our energy. So the default is actually be lazy. So now all our modern day technology is allowing us to be lazy, like having buttons to do things that normally our body would, or turning on the faucet when the water is running. I mean, think of all the movements you're not getting. You're not having to walk somewhere with a bucket to get water and carry it back. You're just turning on the water.
Life's on easy mode.
Right. So it really is this idea that, no, we're in a sedentary lifestyle and all of that matters. And so how are we going to make up the movement deficit? And I do think it's just becoming better movers and then being willing to just do lots of different things.
Being in a state of flow?
Yeah.
Just
The
through
zone,
through your daily life?
Yeah.
Just moving all the time.
Just like moving all the time, little movement snacks all the time. And just little, like for me, it is yoga breaks. And for someone else, it might look like something different, but it is this idea of like, get your movement in.
Absolutely. You mentioned this big circle of movement and you said exercise is this little sub bubble.
Yeah.
What are these other bubbles?
Well, I would just say just movement in general.
Okay.
And that's kind of Katie Bowe's. And the other thing that's kind of interesting when she talks about this, another analogy is kind of like nutrition and the idea that with our food, we know we have macronutrients, micronutrients of different kinds. We know that, for example, like a candy bar, you can look on the back, it has nutritional information, but it's not enough nutrition to live on. Like if you just ate candy bars, that would not be ideal. That's kind of the same idea. Like we need so much movement and really just understand that our body is a piece of furniture. And so use it all the time. So, I usually do like to come down to the floor and sit on the floor.
Okay.
So when we sit on the floor, then we're able to use all the different ranges of movement. So, and then we sit in Seiza, we sit in Sukhasana, we sit in half Sukhasana, we sit with one leg long, one knee bent, half squat, and we just become, again, your own best piece of furniture. So you're just moving all day long. And that's not a sport. That's not an exercise. That's just functional movement throughout your day. That's movement.
I've heard it's super important to get on the floor. And one of the best things for longevity is sitting down on the floor and getting back up that's one of the things that prevents falling.
For sure. And it is now the indication of like coming to the floor in a sit and then being able to come up hands-free and back down is one of the tests they use for longevity also. So I teach yoga for cancer patient survivors, their caregivers, their providers. I've done that for over a decade in Anchorage, and now we just started a program here at MMC in Las Cruces.
Awesome.
And the thing that is really exciting is at first, it usually is a slightly older demographic, although everyone is invited, but it does tend to be a slightly older demographic, and we kind of call it chair yoga. But we do have the option to sit in the chair, but then always I start with a practice called Yoga Nidra, which is getting on the floor and resting. And that might sound weird, but I'm a strong believer that it is in the relaxation process. We go into parasympathetic mode, we take the body into healing mode. And in the state of relaxing, you're unwinding the tension you came into the room with and the habituated tensions. Because why would you want to start doing yoga with the tension you just brought with you into the room? Then you're just adding new layers of tension on top of it.
Wow.
So we start by neutralizing, by doing this guided relaxation practice, this guided awareness practice, and then we start the micro movements, the micronutrition, and we start to build awareness in a tension-free way.
Wow.
And it is so profound what happens. And it's very interesting. We have a new client who, when she first came in, had a knee injury, and she's like, I can't get on the floor. And we're like, no problem. Do everything in the chair and just observe. And you can even imagine, sense, feel yourself on the floor rather than having to get on the floor, right? You can just imagine it for now. But within a month or two, she really wanted to be on the floor too. And now she's getting on and off the floor without any pain.
Wow.
And I've seen this happen hundreds of times. And then you're having these 80-year-old grandmothers that are like, oh my gosh, I'm on the floor playing with my grandchildren.
Amazing.
And they're just reversing the clock by getting on the floor and back up.
That's so powerful.
It's amazing. So no, really, at any age, and especially with this vulnerable group of, cancer patients. No, our goal is over time, with support, with confidence, everybody's pretty much getting on and off the floor. And it's a big deal. And that's enough yoga. Like, that's training inherent human movement that's going to make a bigger difference than doing a sun salutation.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I was wondering if I could get a free little lesson from you here.
Of course.
I'll let you know. One of these things I'm struggling with the body alignment is I notice my left hip sags. And I think it's because of my feet misalignment. Of course, I had flat feet, but they also were not flat equally. So,
of course.
Yeah. So with that, my hips have been uneven, and they're not just uneven vertically, they're also uneven laterally. So
Yes.
I've been trying to get them together, and the foot scoop helped a ton, but still where I feel it is that lower hip. I always have to lift that one up and kind of like bring the other ones down to try to balance it.
So my thought is in order to do that, you're adding another layer of tension. Okay.
Totally.
So it's not to say that some of that doesn't happen. And I don't think it's bad that you have the awareness to be able to do some self-adjusting in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would have you do is come down to the floor. And I'm going to have you go through. So we have 3 planes of movements. We have the sagittal plane, coronal plane, transverse plane. So, and the sagittal plane, that's hip flexion and extension. So having you on the floor, first of all, I can almost guarantee your pelvis is not going to be level if I just put you to the floor.
Most likely not.
So then, this is crazy, I'm going to put a towel or a bolster underneath your pelvis so that it no longer teeter-totters. When you sit down at a restaurant and that table is off kilter and it just is so annoying, it isn't a flat or level surface. This is most people's pelvis once they're on the floor. So I'm not going to let you stay like that. I'm going to actually do yoga therapy with you, and I'm going to level off your pelvis by lifting it until both sides are level. By enough lift, it will level you out.
Wow.
And then once your pelvis is leveled, and this is such subtle stuff, and it really is a little bit more one-on-one work, then I'm going to have you do an abduction, adduction, just keeping your SI joint, your sacrum, your iliums quiet, keeping your lumbar spine quiet, and
relaxed.
Just like stable.
Okay.
Your pelvis is going to become stable.
Like
it's
a
not
core
going to
brace
shimmy.
type deal?
Right. It's going to become a table now.
Okay.
It's not going to move. But then the inherent movement is going to happen at your femur bone.
Okay.
Your hip joint is made up of your femur bone and your pelvis. So now just the femur bone moves out and in. And we're going to start to suss out, when does it start to get jankety? And I only want you to do the range of motion where it's perfectly smooth. And so it probably becomes like this. And then, oh my gosh, Jared, epiphanies start to happen, because all of a sudden you're like, wait, it's just sliding and gliding inside the joint. And I feel exactly the muscles that should be doing this, instead of like the psoas pulling on the right side and the glute medius pulling on the left side. It's like all of a sudden, oh, it's just my deep hip movements doing this, and everything else is just coming along for the ride. Instead of clunk, clunk, clink, clink, clunk, clunk, it starts to do this. And then, so this is pretty big deal. That's the coronal plane, abduction, adduction. And then from here, we're going to do flexion and extension. And so that's like the anterior, posterior pelvis. Same thing. I'm going to kind of watch you do that. And for most people, well, it doesn't, I don't know, it depends. But some people are going to be more flexors and want to lift the hips off the floor doing flexion and tightening the psoas. But then I'm going to invite you to keep length and do the hip lift as an extension and just send your femur bones away from you. And oh my gosh, you're going to actually use your low glutes and your hamstrings instead of using your hip flexors to lift your hips up off the floor. And when you do that, you might start crying because you've had a release that you've been holding on and doing everything with your hip flexors now for a long time, which is kind of what I'm suspecting, is like you are, now that you are aware of your psoas, you're organizing everything around stabilizing your psoas. But guess what? Some movements have to happen at the hip joint.
Great point. Yeah, it's almost like I'm trying to force it using the psoas.
You're using great mind control and body control. And that's an amazing thing, because you'll feel the difference immediately when you start to actually free things up and let the movement happen where it's meant to happen. So every joint has movements that it is intended to do and movements that it's doing to just adapt for you. So it's kind of like in yoga therapy, we need to start to flesh out what is moving well and what should be moving, and then suss out what should not be moving and what should be staying stable. And it's very much this fine-tuning of the instrument. It's rad.
It sounds
and
awesome.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I have to say that it's helpful to work with someone. Like, I don't rely on myself for my own yoga therapy. I have a yoga therapist.
Wow.
Right? Like, I have a lot of body workers in my tool house because we can't do it alone. Like, as well as you're doing at some of this mindfulness, it's like, you're going to get the feedback and the support from other people to have that release. And then all of a sudden your movement is transformed and now you're on to the next thing. Because once one movement starts to clean up, it reveals the next layer of dysfunction.
For sure.
And then the next layer of dysfunction. And I don't think that's ever going to go away because our bodies are changing every time we go to sleep.
That's one
Gil Hadley is a very cool, geeky guy. He loves to do dissections. He's an anatomist. He's a lot of things. He has this great video on YouTube. We should put a link to it.
Okay.
It's called The Fuzz Talk. So
I'm interested.
Yeah. Every night when you go to sleep, your body goes into its repair cycles. And it literally starts like a sewing machine, stitching fascia. And it's kind of, this fascia kind of is white. And in the morning when you wake up, everyone is a little bit stiffer than when they went to bed because of this repair process.
Wow.
And if you do not move your joints and do kind of a variation of pandiculation, which, your animals, your dogs, your cats,
just about to say
right?
that.
Every time they get up, they do this kind of
downward dog.
Yes, they literally do something. It's called pandiculation, and they reset their nervous system. And we need to mimic that pandiculation that happens and reset ourselves. But many of us are just stiff. And then we start organizing around that stiffness instead of releasing ourselves and then organizing ourselves around being tension free. So Jared, I gave you a massage. And if you don't mind me sharing, just one example, I was like, wow, Jared has a lot of tension in his jaw.
For sure.
Right? I was like, wow, there's actually a significant amount here. Like, you have a lot of great healthy tissue, but I was like, wow, that's a tight jaw. And it's like, I know that sounds strange, but a tight jaw is going to change all your sensory organs and how that is functioning, right? And how you're perceiving the world through your visual, through your audio, through everything.
Yeah.
So, having these places like a yoga practice or a relaxation practice or mindfulness practice where you really are allowing yourself to actually relax is, in my opinion, the most important.
Wow. Beautiful. Yeah, I definitely need some work.
We all do. And this is the hard thing too. It's like, think about it. Culturally, we have this underlying mantra of hurry, 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 do, do, do. Our mantra is not relax, let go, reset, all is well. That is counterculture. And to be able to give yourself permission to do nothing is not part of our culture, but it is in a lot of other cultures. In the blue zones, almost all the blue zones have a siesta time.
What is that?
That is a time of rest during the busyness of the day. So in our classes for cancer patients and survivors, the main thing we want them to do is their homework. By the way, when you work with me, you always get homework. I don't know, it just happens. But their homework is to, at some time of the day, sometime in the business of the day, lay down and do nothing. And just allow themselves to do this kind of body scan and do this body releasing and letting the body actually do its natural healing process. Because the body is miraculously self-healing, but not if we put wear and tear on it.
For sure. Yeah, I totally believe that. The body is incredible at healing itself. It just needs a little help. I mean,
that's our awareness.
Yeah, our awareness. Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about sleep because
Okay.
I spend so much time during the day working on my posture and alignment, and then I go hop in bed and then lay there in some funky position for 7-8 hours. Any tips for alignment during sleep?
Do. So my big pet peeve is pillows. I don't know why we were given a pillow at some point in our childhood, because all of a sudden you're wedging something in, and now you're putting yourself in an orca tank, and that orca tank, that pillow, is not allowing your neck to go through its full range of motion when you're sleeping and do its natural yoga. So when you do toss and turn in your sleep and you put a pillow there, you literally have the potential to tighten and kink your neck. So almost always when I injure myself, it's from sleeping poorly. And the interesting thing is, students who have had chronic migraines, and they kind of ask me, what can I do? I honestly say, get rid of the pillow, and they have very dramatic results. Very. Now, this is the other hard thing. If you are sleeping with a pillow, sometimes going cold turkey is going to injure you. Like the same thing as why Vibrams got such a bad rap is because people decided, oh, minimal shoe, I'm going to become a barefoot runner. And they started doing that without a gradual progression of working into that over a year to actually strengthen the tissues so that they could do it safely, right?
You got to ease into it.
Yeah. So you might have to ease into it. But it's very interesting. Some of my students that really have the chronic problems, they just get rid of the pillow and they're better right away.
Wow.
So you could experiment with it. And this is the thing. The pillow is a prop. So I'm a body worker. I'm leaning over people with force, and I'm causing tension to my body. So on the days when I see 3 clients, I usually do need a pillow because I have gotten things tighter. I need some more support. I don't want to be moving quite as loosely. But on the weekend, by the end of the weekend, and I haven't been, then I go pillow free. And I definitely, on vacation, do not touch any of the pillows in the hotels because I've ruined vacations by sleeping with one and kinking my neck and giving myself migraines. So I go pillow free as often as I can.
So is this for side sleepers, belly sleepers, back sleepers?
Yes.
No pillow?
Yes.
Okay.
Or then...
Even side sleeper? I feel like your neck's like hanging.
I know, which it can do.
Okay.
But, okay, yes, for men that are more broad shoulders, that might be too far a reach. So you may need some support, and some people may need a lot of support. So this is the other thing where there's no straight answer. It's going to be individualized, and you have to start to experiment with this and start to get aware of it. So when we're sleeping on our back, I do like to go pillow free, but I like to read in bed, and sometimes I'm too tight. So then I sleep with 2 pillows, and one pillow goes behind at the start of the cervical spine, which is in between the shoulder blades. So you need a pillow down here because that's the start of your neck, down here, if you want to think about it that way. And then a secondary pillow a little bit higher up, maybe on the traps and behind your head, so that you really do support and get the whole spine to traction out in a nice long way.
So that's when you're propped up reading, right?
Well, and it can be when you are laying down flat on your back too.
Okay.
So then if you are on your side and you do need some support, yes, you can have a pillow underneath. And then it's oftentimes good to have a pillow in between your legs to help the hip joints be a little bit more aligned. And a lot of times when I'm on my back, I like a pillow underneath my knees because maybe my low back is a little bit tight. And so that offloads the low back and lets that release down. So I'm sort of like, you're going to have to be intelligent of the why. Why are you using the pillow, and is that really an optimal thing for you? And what would it feel like in different positions? So then, yeah, we kind of do a day, like a session where we just play with your pillows in your bed, and we make sure how you're moving in and how you're organizing things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. The bed is an orca tank.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and your pillow is an orca tank.
You know,
so there's good ones and bad ones. And I don't think that there's one great pillow. In fact, oftentimes I use towels instead of a pillow just to have the right height.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, one of the nights not too long ago, I went on a camping trip. And my buddy was like, hey, I got an extra air mattress. You want it? I was like, no. I want to try sleeping on the ground.
Yeah.
And it felt amazing.
I know.
Amazing. Like, I'm so used to sleeping on a squishy bed, and then I laid down on the hard ground, and I just felt my body like sink into the proper alignment. I was like,
and you
whoa.
were supported by the earth, and it
Yeah.
isn't just flat. This is something that drives me nuts too. I do a sequence called spinal floss, and it's kind of the foundational sequence that I teach in my beginning yoga class. And it is something that they come back to every day so that they have this awareness building practice. They learn about their muscles, and then they can feel the changes when they do their spinal floss, right? The spine has 5 directions of movement, so this is made up of 5 yoga poses. And it's kind of the baseline practice for that beginning yoga class. But anyway, but the hard part is it's on the ground. And so the ground is usually a flat surface. And guess what? Your back is off the floor. Your low back will never touch the floor. Just anatomically, it won't. But if you were at the beach, when you lay on your back, the sand would be coming up. It would mold. It would mold, and you'd have full support. So even being on a flat surface to do your yoga practice is an orca tank that is not serving your body. So then I get really sneaky, and I roll up a blanket. And I have you lay on a blanket roll. And all of a sudden, all parts of your spine are now touching the blanket roll. And then we're in the orca tank. And then we're playing around with our movements. And your spine has full support the whole time. And you get deeper somatic release than you ever had before doing yoga. And you don't ever really want to go back to doing your yoga on a flat surface again. So, I mean, all of this is tricky stuff. And really subtle. And a lot of students don't want to go there. They're like, I just want a good workout.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, I get that, but let's build awareness. Let's build a somatic awareness.
Love it.
Yeah.
So we've talked about yoga quite a few times already.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to go into with yoga therapy?
Should we do a little movement break real quick first?
Sure.
Okay. So, I don't know. Let's just press into the edge of the chair and press up and just kind of use your lower shoulder blades to kind of just stabilize yourself here. And almost let the pelvis hang, so no tensing of the psoas, and just let things just kind of get traction and release down. And we'll just do that a couple of times where we're just doing almost as if you were using gymnastic rings, right? And finding your balance there, and then helping things traction and reorganize in your chair. Okay, so we did our little gymnastics gym rings.
Nice.
So yoga therapy.
Yoga therapy.
So different schools of yoga therapy maybe focus on different models, but in the lineage that I was taught in, we look to the Upanishads and to something called the Panchamaya model. And the Panchamaya model says that we are multidimensional beings and that there's 5 layers. And that really in order to address the whole human being, we need to address and create sequences and create support for all 5 of these layers. So the first layer is the Annamaya Kosha. It's your physical body. So that's what we've been talking about today. Your bones, your architecture, the tensegrity. So your bones, your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons, your connective tissue, your fascia, which we haven't talked about. Maybe we want to. Maybe that's another day. But all of these things that are your architecture. So a lot that we do in terms of that for yoga therapy are the asanas for the Annamaya Kosha. Then we have the Pranamaya Kosha. And you probably heard the word prana, and prana can translate as energy or breath. And really it's about your vital body. So all the internal organs, right? Your breathing, your digestion, your cardiovascular wellness. And really posture can relate back to all of these, because if your organs are in optimal alignment, then you're going to have better bowel movements. You're going to have better heart, cardiovascular heart function.
Circulation.
Circulation, thank you. And your breath, that your diaphragm is aligned so that you have optimal breathing. So when we work with someone, we're doing poses potentially to help support their organic body, or to help increase their elimination, or to help increase their prana through breathing. So breathing practices. And then we have the Manomaya Kosha, which is all about the mind. And our mind is being influenced by the gunas, these 3 universal energies called sattva, rajas, and tamas. And these universal energies are going on all the time. They're going on in your mind. They're going on in nature. They are happening in our foods. They're all pervasive, and they have certain qualities. So rajas tends to be action. It's putting on the gas pedal. It's go mode. All right. And then you have tamas, which is the brakes mode. It's like the stopper. And then you have sattva, which is like the sweet spot. And it's like we have all of these, but you can imagine that in yoga, we're looking more to achieve a sattvic state. So if the mind goes into monkey mind or goes into anxiety, this is like becoming rajasic. And oftentimes to balance that, you're going to have to do something tamasic, something that slows you down, like paying a mindfulness practice, doing your breathing. And that will help readjust you back to sattva. It's also been described as like on the TV channels, you have a couple different channels going on, and one of them is the Western. It's like the shoot 'em up movie, whatever. That's the Rajas. And then you turn and you have like Lifetime, and people are sobbing, and there's this like tragedy that's happening, and this is like the Tamas. And then you change the channel, and it's like the Nature channel. That's sattva. So it's this idea of becoming really skillful at changing the channels in your mind. And also actually just observing them, so then you can create supportive practices for yourself to help support the sattvic path. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But the mind is super complicated, so it's a lot more than that as well. Like we have a right and left hemisphere of your brain, and the right brain consciousness is flow state, is nirvana, is your creativity. And the left brain is kind of more your cognitive function and your goal orientation. And really, in yoga, we want to integrate the two hemispheres. And for most of us, it means actually doing more of the right-brained activities. But we want to cross the midline. So doing contralateral yoga is really, really important. And that's what babies do, is they crawl and they're wiring themselves, right? And that has to happen. If children don't go through the stage of crawling, they have developmental delays and issues. So that's true for adults too. We need to continue to cross the midline. And so that's the Manomaya Kosha. And then we had the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Yeah. Crossing midlines.
Crossing those midlines.
Yeah, crossing midlines. That Vijnanamaya Kosha is your personality. And I know you're a parent, and I'm a parent, and I'm sure when your son was born, my daughter was born, it's like they were who they were in that instant. They came in with a distinct personality.
For sure.
And this is called your Jyotishta, or your astrology chart, that the stars were aligned at a certain time, and it gave you certain attributes. And it also gave you certain propensities, but it also gave you some challenges. So some people are like night owls, and some are early birds, and some like this kind of food and don't like this kind of, like some of this is really a preference from birth. So you are who you are.
Totally, because I've noticed that with my siblings. Yeah. We were all born together in the same environment, and we're completely different.
Yes.
So raised
that's
the
your
same
constitution.
way. It's like,
yes.
Yeah.
That's your prakriti, right? That is kind of who you are, and there's a blueprint. And sometimes we get in our own way because of this constitution that we were given at birth. But we also were born, like you just said, into a particular family. And that's also going to greatly influence what your values might be and how you see the world. And whether you were firstborn or the baby of the family or the middle, like birth order matters. All of these things start to influence who you think you are, your personality. Also the society that you were born into and the values of that society, right?
Totally.
And it's unlike any other places in the world. That's why travel is so important, to expand your mind and see things in a different way. And then also your personal experiences. None of us have had the exact same experience. And even when someone has an experience, your feeling sense of it is completely different than someone else. Two people can go through the same experience and have a completely different outcome of that. So our experiences shape who we are. So in yoga, we start to address this. It's very important. And I would suggest everyone have a therapist in their life that they're talking through about these things as well. It's very important. And then last but not least is the Anandamaya Kosha, and it's the bliss body. And this is so very important because yoga is not a religion. It is a science. It is the science of the human being, and it's the science of the human mind. It's the science of the human body. And it's much more a philosophy. But it is steeped in a culture that also has religious influences in it. So there are kind of there's different kind of philosophy beliefs that are intertwined to the yoga. But really what yoga says is that you are a spiritual being.
For sure.
And I think right now in our culture, we're in a spiritual deficit. And I'm not talking religion, although it can reveal itself in that way, but it's the fact of, and it's very individualized and personalized. It's not like, a global thing. It's a personalized thing. What fills your cup? What nourishes you? What brings you joy? What brings you happiness? And this is very individualized. It doesn't look like anybody else. And if we're not allowed to explore what really turns us on in terms of that spirituality that lights us up, we're not a whole being. We're
Wow.
not able to express our whole human condition. So this is the place where prayer or ritual or spiritual readings or simply knowing that coffee in the morning gives you a great sense of joy, these little rituals that you do for yourself each day that fill your cup is a very important part of this too. So in kind of the yoga therapy, this is very important that we're addressing all layers of ourself. And then what I do is design practices for people that interweave all of those things.
Wow.
Or like if you come to one of my yoga classes, it's like some days we are just addressing the Annamaya Kosha, but sometimes we're working on our bliss body. And we're mostly, because we're working in the somatic realm, most of the time, most people get into that Anandamaya state. And most people, I think, are coming to yoga for that. You want to feel a feeling at peace, at one, tuned up with yourself, harmonized. You come because of the way you feel when you're done.
Beautiful. I almost wish we started with that because that is like the whole theme of the podcast, learning about the interconnectedness of the mind, body, spirit. And there's so many different ways we could go from there. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, good. I'm glad that went wow.
Yeah,
because
no,
it does. We just did teacher training at Dwell, and it was really inspiring because when we got to this Panchamaya model, everybody was just like, oh, yes, this is why I've been coming to yoga. This is what it's doing for me.
Wow.
It's working on all these layers of me. And it's subtle, and it's profound, and it makes life very meaningful.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely love that. And I think we're definitely going to have another episode in the future and dive deeper into that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I have enough storage on these cameras to cover all that.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, and I've definitely felt it in the yoga practice, just going in there. I was raised religious in a Christian Catholic church, and we don't really do anything like that in yoga, but I can feel the spiritual connection while I'm there.
Yes.
And I can tap into that during the practice, for sure.
Beautiful. And part of it is because you have cultivated that awareness through the spiritual practice that you have with Catholicism, that ritual, the chanting, the hymns, like the sequence of that. It's like you can tap into that stream, into that flow. And so really it does acknowledge that, yes, we're spiritual beings that need this support, and it could look any number of ways.
And I think it's so important. Like you said, that is where we're lacking nowadays.
I think we're hungry for it.
For sure.
This lack of connection and just how lonely it is. And we know in the blue zones, I mean, family, friends, relationships, are at the key heart of this.
That's
community.
what my buddy said, community. And
Yes.
I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Because he was talking about, yeah, they move a lot, they eat good food, but community. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that is so important.
It's
We
so
yearn
important.
for that.
Yes, we yearn for that. And just because we do have all this technology now, it's almost like we've replaced technology for human relationships and interactions.
Yes.
It's another orca tank we've put ourselves
sure.
into, and it's not helping us.
Yeah, think about back in the day, my parents, their parents, they would get together, the entire family, like 40, 50 people.
Wow.
And nowadays it's like just your immediate
Nuclear
family, if anything.
Right.
Sometimes the immediate families don't even get together nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because we need that.
Yeah. Well,
We
I
need
feel
that.
like that's a cultural thing. Like even in our, Declaration of Independence, it's like the pursuit of happiness. But it's all about, I think we've made it as the pursuit of individual happinesses rather than collective ones, community ones, that we, care more about, the individual than we do about the community.
Yeah.
So it is, a big conversation.
Big conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have another one.
Okay. Yay.
But let's. I got a few closing questions, and we can wrap this thing up.
Okay.
If you could go back and give 18-year-old Margo some advice, what would you tell her?
Don't have that surgery. Darn it. I really wish that I had learned about movement patterns and had, yoga in my life, or a good massage therapist in my life, or a good osteopath in my life. And I would tell 18-year-old me, get resourced, have your health team. And that really does need to include a talk therapist, a good nurse practitioner, or a good family doctor, having a massage therapist. I really love having an osteopath. I just think you need to be resourced and ask a lot of questions and find things out. And unfortunately, I think pain tends to override and just take over, and we get tunnel visioned with that. And it's really an opportunity for opening up to a lot of different things. So it can be something that, again, closes you down or opens you up. And I would just say, 18-year-old Margo, get curious about this and get resourced so you have more options and choices.
Beautiful. I think so many people nowadays want the easy fix pill surgery, but it's not an easy fix.
Well, it's not. It's adding a layer of complication.
Yeah.
So, and I do. I walk with pain a little bit every day until I kind of am able to get my nutrition happening in my bursa and in my joints. And, that's fine. But I wish it could be different.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason.
Yes. And that's probably why I'm obsessed about feet.
Yep.
So it's all good.
Totally.
Okay.
You brought some books today.
Yes. I think you asked me to bring maybe a couple of books that I really loved, and I couldn't just pick one. So I have a couple, but my absolute favorite, and I have a 30-day yoga program, which is my content on an online platform that I teach for the university. And the book that is the companion to that is Natural Posture for Pain-Free Living by Kathleen Porter. And I feel like it is just a manual, a blueprint to the human body. And again, this kind of research that Noel Perez did about people who are moving pain-free and how to organize on the plumb line. Super important read. Chapter 4 is your chapter. It's Meet Your Feet.
Okay.
And this picture of 102-year-old woman is in here. That's worth the price of the book. It's so good. And I'm friends with Kathleen because I love her book so much. I've used it for my curriculum. So I've called her up and we've had lots of conversations. And
Awesome.
I just really adore her. So really great stuff. And then Esther also was a student of Noel Perez, and she wrote the book 8 Steps to a Pain-Free Back. And her pictures, a few of them are to die for. I have a crush on one of the men in this book. I'm just like, oh my gosh, yes, that is it. That's the baby head position. That's the anterior pelvis. Yes, that's the shoulders are part of the back of you. It's just a gorgeous image. And I love the picture of her husband in here. It's a picture of him when he's 28 and one when he's 48. And it's clear that when he's 48, he looks younger and he's moving better.
Whoa.
It's phenomenal. So I really can't say enough good things about this book.
Awesome.
So they're really supporting what we talked about today. But then for my athletes yoga class, I just love mindset and this idea of the mind, and that failure is the opportunity for learning. And this idea when pain comes up, it's an opportunity for learning. I just love this book. Yes, this growth, mindset is such a good book by Carol Dweck. And then, love Kelly Starrett. He's written a lot of good books. I actually love the Become a Supple Leopard, but someone's borrowing my copy. So he also just wrote a new book with his wife, Built to Move. And he's the one who taught me about torque and how to squat. And he is a CrossFitter and a PT. And I just think he has super smart things to say about movement. And I've just learned to become a better mover because of reading his books. I think he's fabulous. And then I wanted to a shout out to T.S. Little, who is kind of one of my current yoga teachers, and he lives in New Mexico. And if you want to know more about yoga and the subtle body, this book will blow you away.
Wow.
So it's a dense read. It's an amazing read, and I just love it. And I've just loved diving into the practice with T.S. And we've had a lot of similar influences. And a lot of people here are like, Margo, you teach so much with T.S. Is he one of the people you did teacher training with? And I'm like, no, I don't know T.S. But the last year I have been taking classes with him and reading this book. And yeah, we teach a lot of the same things because we're both body workers. We both have Feldenkrais background. We both have continuum background. So it's fun. So great breed. And then, of course, Katie Bowman. And her book that probably is the most accessible is Move Your DNA. I mean, they're all really good, but Move Your DNA is about the Orthotank. So I think this is just general, like become a better mover. And I also love her very first one, which is Alignment Matters. And you will like that one. Like, it's
For
really,
sure.
really good. And then last but not least, like the somatic work lately that I've been diving into. And again, we were talking about posture today. I just love Mary Bond's work. And she has this beautiful body mandala. And it is all about the biotensegrity of the body and kind of the fascia. And that our fascia is maybe the largest organ, and we're just really learning about it now. But really, our youth is all in the condition of our fascia, and we want it to be springy and childlike, like Tigger. And so this is a fabulous read.
Awesome.
Okay.
I absolutely love books because you can tap into the knowledge of these people that have studied 10, 20 years on a subject and download it by reading a book in a few days.
I know. I think for me, we learn through a couple of different ways, and one of them is your self-study, and that's reading books. And yeah, I always have a book going, and I just love it. And then it just becomes part of you, and then you up-level your body that way. For sure. All of these books will up-level your body.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You guys check them out. I'll include all of them in the description down below. So if you're interested in these, check them out. Also, where can people find you?
So I do have a website, so I'll share that address with you. And I did want to offer people, like, I do have this Kajabi platform where I have my university course. And so I'd love to offer your viewers a discount on that. So if they want to email me and we'll figure that out, that'd be great. And, yeah, I also am on Instagram at Margo Sorum, and I am on YouTube. So yeah, subscribe and join me. I haven't really updated it in a long time, but there's some pretty good resources out there on my YouTube. So subscribe and subscribe on mine too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll include a link to Margo's channel as well as that one video with the foot scoop, because that was an absolute game changer for me. So much value packed in that video. So you guys check that out. Subscribe to Margo, and I'll include her email in there too if you want to get in contact, maybe do some one-on-one with Margo, schedule a chat, or get into her online course.
And I also should say, I'm at Dwell Yoga, and you guys got to come to Dwell. It is in the heart of Las Cruces. It's on Main Street. It's a beautiful green building, and just the most amazing community of people. Like, all of the yoga teachers have so much to offer, and I love that we're a collective. It's just a really amazing model.
No doubt.
Jane Bloom is the owner, and we just recently finished teacher training. My friend Lorelei Alvarez, who's finishing her yoga therapist training, we are starting to collaborate and start working on a 500-hour yoga teacher training. And that's a really big way, regardless if you want to be a teacher or not, it's kind of the next way to dive in and just up-level your body.
Amazing.
So there's a lot more to come at Dwell Yoga. So find us at Dwell Yoga.
Yes.
Come and take a class.
Do it, guys. I've been practicing at Dwell, and I absolutely love it. That's how we met.
Yes.
Shout out Jane and
Thanks, Jane.
Izzy, also amazing.
Yes.
And Dr. Jana Williams.
Amazing. I mean, these are amazing yoga practitioners. And I love Shauna. I love Lorelei. I mean, Lenova. There's just, like, again, you really are not going to get into bad class. And we actually just graduated some new teachers, and Rick is there. Simona's rocking it. So it's just a way, again, for us all to support each other on this body journey. I mean, it is hard being in a human body. So just making some friends and playing with your body by doing some yoga is where it's at for me.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Margo. It's been a pleasure having you on. An incredible conversation, better than I expected. And we're going to have to do this again sometime and go deeper in on the multi-dimensions of the human body.
I love it. Okay. Thanks so much, Jared.
Thank you.
So I'm actually starting with pronated collapsed flat arches, and you can see the forming of a bunion happening here. And if I stayed walking like this and I'm pushing off, I'm using that bunion part of my foot. So, and I have no torque. So this is the duck-footed stance I'm avoiding. I'm also just hyperextended in my knees, and I'm loading my back. So the first step is actually to move your hips back a little bit so you can turn your feet forward. And already you're going to see this change in the structure of my feet and some arches. And then to create the torque, I'm turning my toes in. I'm scooping my heel under. You can see all the wrinkles happening. And now the toes are slanting in. And look at the difference between the right foot and the left foot. You can see the height, and I'm up on my heel. And then same thing on this side. I'm turning in. I'm creating torque. You see the wrinkles. And I'm stepping down. And now all of a sudden, I have engaged feet. And then I can relax my toes and they can do different things. And they can start to work like monkey's feet with the foot scoops. And again, this is that idea that now the second toe and the first toe are going forward, and they're going to actually push off and use torque here at this MP joint, and that push off here instead of here, through here. So this is that idea of kind of finding that posture in front of you.